Now students, this is the statement of the problem. I invite you to read very slowly and carefully, and then we are going to analyze it. You can pause it and read by your own speed. Try to understand the idea that the writer is trying to convey with this statement of the problem. And this is the first part, so you can pause it and read it. This is the second part. You can pause it and read it too. And this is the third part. You can pause it and read it too. So once you have read it, okay, I'm going to analyze it. When we write the statement of the problem, we usually highlight the research gap. It means that there is something new that hasn't been researched yet, or maybe it could be a new topic or something that we haven't done in our context too. So there is a research gap in our context. We usually set the research context. We can do it in two ways. In this case, he's doing it from the literature review that he has done on the topic that he's researching. And we also need to describe and define the problem, like this part here. He's describing and defining the problem. He is stating the aim of the study here. Here is trying to provide a literature review, but a more precise literature review than the previous one. And then he says what type of research is going to carry out, and he's delimiting the problem. And then he states a segment of his research here at the end. Then he goes on with the purpose and research question. In this first part, he contextualizes the purpose of the research question concerning something that has been covered specifically in what he's going to do. And here in this part, he tries to state the problem in more precisely way. He also shows where he's going to do the research, and he states the relevance of the problem in this part. Then he goes on posing two questions, and finally he writes a short paragraph trying to highlight the significance of the study. So now we are going to analyze it. So although topics regarding technology-assisted second language learning are not new, minimal research attention has been directed toward international students' informal learning through technology for enhanced life experiences. So in this part of the research, of the statement of the problem, is indicating that there has been done some research on assisted second language technology, but there is something that hasn't been done, which is to focus on international students informal learning through technology. So that this is the gap here. Then what he does in what you see here in green, this part that you can find in green, is trying to make a literature review on what has been researched on technology-assisted second language learning. For example, he has stressed that there are some researchers, or many researchers have done investigation on authentic, easy access to authentic input. Others have done research on collaboration, interaction, and he cites some of those researchers here. Others have done on motivating students to learn, and you can see he cites other sources here, other studies that have covered this research topic. And he also highlights that some research has been done on learning processes, and he cites just one author here. He also states that there has been some research too on how students have perceived the use of technology for their futures and their life, as you see here. So he's trying to show the reader that he has explored the topic, the different points of view of the topic, and he found out a gap which is on students' informal L2 learning. There has been few researches on this topic, and he's going to research on that. Now in this second paragraph, he tries to describe what's happening with technology, how technology has changed along the years, and how people have been using technology more personally. One of the reasons that he takes is he quotes Prensky, and he says that digital natives have been using technology because they embrace new technology easily because they are digital natives. So he states that that it is important to research the implementation of different strategies and the combination of more let's say free technologies chosen by the students. And then he cites these authors here in order to state that and to contextualize part of the problem, describe part of the problem from the literature, not from what he thinks, but from what some people have studied, and he's trying to do this. And taking into account that situation, that description of the problem, he states the aim of the study here. He says that is to investigate how newly arrived Chinese international students alternatively use those technologies to assist their informal L2 learning. He goes on, closing out more his research focus, and then he tries to state that many researches on this topic have been done on classroom context, and he cites different authors here that have covered this topic. He states that but few have explored international students' informal L2 learning through technology and their lived experiences. So he is trying to support his research gap here using different authors. So what has been done and what is still missing in the field of language teaching and technology. So he states here now in the red part of this statement, he states the type of study, which is a qualitative case study. And then he also states a second aim or purpose for the study, which is to describe how the newly arrived Chinese international students foster their competence through technology-assisted informal learning. He goes on with the purpose and the research question. And what happened here is that in the purpose and the research question, it seems that he states the problem more clearly. And that's something that happens sometimes. But I think that it should be better written on the previous part. I mean on this part, which is the statement of the problem. So now he cites Safir et al. Telling us that some approaches has been on achievement scores relating the use of ICT technology for language learning with high achievement scores, and in order to connect those scores with the measurements of L2 proficiency, and he cites another authors here, and he underlined here, however, as Kinges pointed out, the most obvious difficulties in those studies are those to capture the most valid and reliable data for measure. So he tries to emphasize that those studies have been focused on measurements, but his study is going to focus on another aspect. He is going to explore not measurement but competence of creatively utilizing the available technology to facilitate their informal learning. So in this case, he's trying to telling the reader that he's going to provide some new knowledge on how to use technology, but using technology in a free way by the students, and focusing on the creative use of technology. Okay, so that's what his main point here, and that's something very important because he stated the problem, and this is part of the problem that hasn't been researched yet, so he's trying to cover it. Here he describes what he's going to do with the research and the context. The context is Canada, and the subject of the research are newly arrived Chinese students, international Chinese students. Then he goes in this part of the thesis, he tries to underline the relevance of the problem, and he says that he seeks further strategies and preferences for technology-assisted L2 learning. So he has another purpose here. He's trying to relate strategies and technology-assisted learning. And then he posed 2 questions for his research study. As you see, these are the 2 questions that he posed. So these questions are posed because he reviewed the literature. He identified in the literature that there was a research gap, and he is going to cover up this research gap, trying to answer these questions. And at the end, he stated the significance of the problem in a very short way. So he trying to highlight the benefits of the research to international students, for example. So that's all. I hope you maybe take into account these steps and try to write your statement of the problem with the more in a more confident way, and maybe write it using it a more academic writing style. Thank you.